I'm here breaking my neck, looking over my shoulder. Stepped into your skin, got me tripping over myself. Figured I would say something, passing the time. If you come on over here, we could be on the same side.
Same side, same side. Same side, same side. Same side, same side. Same side, same side.
I'm here breaking my neck, looking over my shoulder. Stepped into your skin, got me tripping over myself. Figured I would say something, passing the time. If you come on over here, we could be on the same side. On the same side. On the same side. On the same side.
Same side, same side. Same side, same side. Same side, same side. Same side, same side.
On the same side. On the same side. On the same side. On the same side.
Same side,
On the same side.
same side.
On the same side.
Same side,
On the same side.
same side.
On the same side. On the same side. On the same side. On the same side. On the same side.
All right, we in the building. We are in the building. And if you're just making your way on, make sure that you like the video. Whatever platform that you're on. Right now, streaming to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up. All right, so we're gonna do some live observation. Yes, we're getting started at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I was just I was noticing I wasn't getting tired, so I figured, you know what? London is about to open. Let's take a look at the market. Let's take a look. May be able to get some good value from what we see here. So if you didn't see today's podcast, make no mistake about it. Classic, classic, classic. I am gonna actually put it into the 301 playlist and incorporate that into what we kind of need to watch every day. It's worthy of it. It is worthy of it. Everything don't go in that playlist. There's only 3 videos in that playlist. It's 301, 301 mindset, and the stability training. And I want to incorporate today's podcast into the 301 playlist, man. You know, it got to mean something if I'm doing that. Like, for real. Got to mean something. All right, so we're going to get situated with this observation. So let me see who we got here with us. I see Stacy, Ashton, Rob Sullivan. What's going on? Sadiq's in the building. Khalees is here. J. Carly is here. Who needs to sleep though? Facts. All facts. SG's in the building. Muffin Woman. I see Forrest. I see JT. I see Jermaine. I see Bilal. I see Sharonda. Sharonda, it ain't your bedtime? Sharonda's up and at it at 2 o'clock. All right, so we're gonna take a look and see what's going on. So it's 2 a.m. Maybe I did this subconsciously. I mean, I'm coming on at 2 o'clock. London is opening. Typically there is more activity associated with another part of the world when it opens up. So London being on the other side of the pond in the UK, they're in a totally different time zone than us here in the States. Might be 8 hours difference between here in New York and the UK. I forgot. I don't know exactly what it is, but pretty much the foreign exchange market is like on a rotation. You got different markets that open up in different parts of the world. So, for example, you'll have the Asian session. When Asian markets open, that's typically around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then you have the London session, which is 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then, of course, you have the U.S. session, which I believe is at 8:30 maybe. I forgot all the times. Like, I ain't even gonna lie. But pretty much you have various sessions, and there's really actually way more than just the ones that I'm naming, but those are just major ones that you can kind of remember offhand. But typically, anytime another part of the world opens up their markets, there's more activity that you'll see in the market overall. So especially when the currency that you're watching is relevant to the country that's opening. So, for example, in London, of course, you have the pound as their currency. So the pound dollar in particular would be probably way more active than it was before they opened up their markets, right? Now, is that always the case? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Hopefully London Bridge don't fall. Y'all crazy. This is why I can't watch the comments until I'm finish my thoughts. Okay, they 5 hours ahead. Got you. So there's a misconception that, when certain markets open, it's automatically gonna be volatility in the market. Like, it's gonna be all this activity going on. And that's just simply not always the case at all. You have to just allow the market to do whatever it wants to do whenever it wants to do it. You can't say, well, New York session, that's going to be more volume, more activity, more volatility. Can't say London, oh yeah, it's definitely going to be more active, more volatility. You don't know what it's going to be at the time. This is why the key to you having success when you trade, especially on the platform that we're on the NADEX platform. NADEX allows us to trade binaries. Because we're trading binaries, our main concern is the right timing in the market itself, not the right timing of a trade that you want to take. The right time in the market. What does that even mean? You want to be able to recognize behavior in the market. You need to understand how the market is moving. Now, does the session dictate the behavior? No. That's the key. The session does not dictate the behavior. So in other words, just because it's London or just because it's the US session does not necessarily mean that you're going to have volatility. Doesn't mean that. You see, is this thing on? No, it's not. Let me turn these on. I wonder why the headphones seem like they were kind of. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. All right, cool. Yeah, so it does not necessarily mean that you're going to have all of this volatility just because one of those sessions open. So you need to become skilled at observing the market itself. You just need to be able to look at the market, know what you're looking at, and then make your decisions accordingly. So when I say decisions, you're either going to not engage and not participate in any trading activity whatsoever because you understand the behavior that you're looking at, or you will engage because you understand the behavior that you're looking at. So in either instance, whether you're trading or not trading, the key and the common denominator should be that you understand the behavior that you are seeing in the market. Once you make sense out of what the market is doing and how it's moving, then you can always put yourself in position to be profitable. And that's a fact. That's just a fact. So if you're able to consistently be profitable, that's the key to being successful. And that's the key to being in the market long term and being profitable during your time. So this is why, exactly why, in fact, when we are observing, we're more so looking to see what the market is doing, how it's behaving, and then what that means for us. So, for example, you might watch, the market for an entire session, just as an example, a few hours or whatever the case may be. And during that time, the market does not stabilize. We'll use that as the first example. You know that if it doesn't stabilize, there's no opportunity to trade at all. Period. Now, if you do this wrong, and what I mean is if your observation skill is not what it needs to be, what you'll have a tendency to do is you'll lean into looking for trades. And you'll be looking for trades at the wrong time. Well, how do you know it's the wrong time? Because the market is not stable. If the market is not stable, there's no trades. Now, this is the discipline that we live by. If the market is stable, there's definitely no trades whatsoever. Now, let's continue on. Even if the market is stable, there could still be no trades. Discipline. So you see how in every instance, we know, one, if the market is stable or not. Two, if the market is stable and there is still no opportunity because the market has not followed through with positioning itself relative to one of the binaries so that there can be a trade, we know that if that doesn't take place either, there's still no opportunity, even though the market is stable. So it's like knowing the order that you need to be following at all times. One, you need to always establish stability in the market. That's a given. There are no trades without that, period. So even if you're seeing trades, if you know that the market is not stable, then it's not trades for you. Those are just trades that are sitting there for whoever wants to take them. Not you, though. Why not you? Because you're trained. Trained to do what? You're trained to see the market, not to see trades. See, this is the difference. If any of you are new on the stream, make sure that if you have questions, you type your questions into the chat. I want to make sure that we provide value during the observation. So if you have a question about NADEX, you have a question about anything I'm talking about, feel free to type your question into the chat. All right. Mark G, what's good, man? David O, what's happening? So the key to all of this, again, is the observation. That's the key. And this is why we focus on live observation. I know that people will wonder, like, man, when he's on here, is he going to take a trade? And you got to understand that at no time when I get on the platform do I think about taking a trade. It's not that I don't plan on taking a trade. It's that the only time that I'm going to end up in a trade is when the market gives me the trade. You see? So there's no telling when that's going to be. It could potentially be during a live observation. Absolutely. The market might decide to do that. And the key for us is that if the market were to decide to do that, we would all see it. You understand? Why would we all see it? Because we're all going to recognize, because we're applying the same process. So even if I'm not doing a live observation, if you're observing the market, because you're trained to apply the same process, you become better and better at seeing when the market stabilizes, when the market positions itself, and when the market ultimately gives you a trade. You become better at seeing it all because you're constantly improving your ability to execute the process. You need discipline to execute this process. You need patience to execute the process. You need to focus in order to apply the process. Notice how I'm not saying to trade, because trading is not what you're doing. Trading is the byproduct of what you're doing. And the trading I'm referring to is a profitable trade, not just any trade. I'm talking specifically about a trade that you know is going to win before you even enter into the trade. And it's because of the process. So people don't necessarily understand that it takes the process for you to always end up in a profitable trade, period. And I'm not here for anything other than that. I would imagine that anyone that's training with me is not here for anything other than that either. See, so what people will do is they'll get into trade mode and they'll come on the platform. They'll start looking. Let me take a look and see what's going on. And I talked about this today on the podcast. Roughly about 80% of everybody that joins me in the training, they're going to do some type of variation of not following instructions. They're going to follow some, maybe most of the instructions given, but they are going to slight it. They're not going to fully follow. And the way that they start deviating is by drifting into trade mode. Every time, it never fails. I give you an example. Let me see something. All right. See how this market is moving now? Like you see this wick on the bottom, right? You see the wick under here, right? Someone will be looking at this and they'll be like, oh, look at that. It's going to go up. It's going to go over the line. Oh man, I could have caught that. FOMO. See? So they're feeding all of the wrong habits, the worst ones, in fact. The reason that they feed these habits is because they're drifting into trade mode. Now, if you look at how the market looks right now, you know that there's nothing to do right now. The market is not stable right now. Not only is the market not stable, the environment ain't right either. How do we know that? Because we are waiting to see the manifestation of the tools that we know help us to see stability. You know that when the candles cluster, that's an indication right there. When there's a range, that's an indication. And when there's a barrier between the candles and the body of the candles and the strikes, when you see distance between them and there's a barrier in between, there's another indication. These are all the things that come together like a puzzle piece to give you clarity and to prepare you for if the market is going to give you an actual trade at that time. So you're learning how to see the right time first. You're not learning how to see a trade at all yet. And what happens is when you fall into that 80% that I was talking about earlier on the podcast, you'll take the trade part and you'll be looking for the trades. You see, because you're starting to develop bad habits because you are drifting into trade mode. And it's the worst thing you could do. But the good thing about the whole situation is that you're not doing just that. you're also following some of the instructions at the same time. So the more that you just continue to plug in, you start to drift out of the 80% and you start moving into the 10% of people that's just going to do everything according to the instructions. You see? Versus drifting into the other 10% of people who just completely don't follow any instructions anymore because they think that they found the strategy, right? They think that they got phase 3 from the process and it's time to go trade. You won't hear from them in the group chat. They won't communicate, right? We won't hear nothing from them. That's that other 10%. So I kind of was breaking down like the numbers. 80% of everybody who starts training, they're going to do some level of deviation. Some worse than others. From the 80%, you're going to fall into one of the 10% categories, which is the remaining 20%. 10%, they ain't doing nothing at all as far as instructions go. Other 10%, all they do is follow instructions. So you're going to shift from the 80% to one of the other two. You see? And you're going to be the one who determines which 10% you're going to shift into. And I can tell you right now that if you don't work at not being in trade mode, you'll drift into the wrong 10%. And that's a fact. It's just what happens. You're creating all of the right, really is the wrong habits, but you're creating all the right habits to mess up. All of the habits that you need to mess it all up, you start creating that when you're in trade mode. And understand it's easy to be in trade mode because you're trading. Like that's what you're looking at. In your mind, you're like, well, that's what I'm here for. We're not here to trade. We're really not. We're here to consistently be profitable. That's not trading. What that is doing is applying the same winning process over and over again, the same process that leads to the same outcome. So it takes training to do that. It takes conditioning, mindset, patience, discipline to apply process over and over again and never do nothing else. It takes a lot to never even think about doing anything else. So this is the reason that everything is the way that it's here. Very repetitive. You know, we're doing the same thing every day. Same thing every night. Right? Training. 301. What's the live training? What's the recommendation for tonight? Such and such. Hundreds of trainings in the list. We ain't nowhere near touching. Like we're not even anywhere close. I don't even know how many live trainings I recommended so far, but we're not even anywhere near close to all them trainings in the playlist. And every one of them have something in it that could be the trigger for you to get out that 80% and to fall into the right 10%, where you're just following all instructions to a T and you begin to actually see the market now. See, like you see how when I come on the platform, I'm able to navigate very easily. It's like I know exactly what I'm looking at. I know exactly what's not happening. And because I know what's not happening, I know that there's nothing to do yet, like at all. Now, what happens when you record, and I mentioned this earlier in the chat, when you record and you post in the chat, that is so powerful for you and for everyone else because we're going to talk through what you recorded. We're going to talk through the observation. We're going to talk through it. Like I'm going to show you an example of it in a moment. But the talk through is powerful because what it does is it reinforces everything that you're learning and it connects what you're learning to what you're seeing. So it becomes a building block for you when you're able to recognize what you're seeing. It's just like if you're looking at the market and you're saying, you know, something as simple as like, let me zoom in. If I like just me looking at this, the first thing I'm looking at is the fact that the candles are touching the line. That's a no-no. That is, in other words, there's no barrier. Hold on. Like just follow along with me. My first, like the first thing I'm seeing, these candles is all over the line. There's no barrier. What does that mean? Well, if there's no barrier, then we ain't nowhere near close to where we need to be. So you see how I took one tool, the fact that there's no barrier between the candles and the strike. That one tool right there keeps you out of everything, even if you don't do nothing else. Like you see how I didn't say, well, it's not ranging. I didn't say, well, it's not slow enough. I don't have to say anything else. I can use one tool, and that one tool, because I understand it, is going to unlock everything else that also coincides with what I'm seeing in the market. So I can keep going. Look, there's no barrier here. Let's look at the movement. Movement got a lot of speed in it. Look at how you're going from one thing to the next. Now it's moving too fast. It's doing too much. So now you're looking at the movement itself. The movement ain't even stable. Movement itself ain't stable. Nope. And it ain't in the range. So boom, that quick, you just covered every thing that you're seeing in the market that is the reason, or one of the reasons why the market is not where it needs to be for what it is that we're waiting for. We know what we're waiting for. We're waiting for the outcome to be determined by the market. Market can only do that when it's stable. It can't do that when it's doing too much. It can't do that when it is not clustering. Can't do that when there's no barrier. Following me? So like even the terminology, you hear the words I'm using, it all makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And what's funny is that, I talk about this all in public now. Everything that we talk about, that we understand, I talk about it right out in the open. Why do I do that? Because people have no idea what I'm talking about. If you're not training with me, you don't even know what I'm talking about. And even if you did know what I'm talking about, you're not training with me, so you don't even have the discipline to apply that process. Hold on. Like I really thought about this the other day. I'm like, man, it's very interesting that I'm not scared to talk about anything out in the open anymore. I used to be very overprotective of everything, just the way we talk and everything. Now I don't even care. The reason I don't care is because people don't know how to do what we do. I could give you everything that we do, and if you don't develop the mindset, you won't do it anyway. So look how important mindset is when you trade. You see? Because what is it that you're looking for from trading? What do you want from trading? I know what I want. I want profits. That's it. I'm not here to just be, the best trader on the planet. I don't care about that. Okay. This is a cash flow business that we have in our hands. This is cash flow all day. You got to let the cash flow though. The only way that you're going to be able to do that is by being profitable. Only way that you're going to be able to be profitable is by allowing the market to dictate. The market going to dictate anyway. If you keep yourself in alignment with the market, is the market ever wrong? Not once. Market is never wrong. So the market is never wrong and you remain in alignment with it. What do you think the outcome is going to be of when you trade? See, that's the difference. So this is one of the reasons why all of this is like free training for people. But if you're not in training, then it ain't training for you because you don't understand the dynamic of what it is that we do. See, there's a reason that you kind of have to come into training with us to fully understand what's going on, because you get glimpses of it. You hear what I'm saying and it makes sense. It just does. Look, it's so funny too because I can come on here, right? And I'll start putting stuff on the chart that people like to use on their charts, indicators. Let me find one that's real popular. Let me see. I would use the stochastic, but I think RSI is actually more popular than that. Let me see. What else they got on here? They got momentum. What about divergence? They got any divergence on here? I don't see no divergence. MACD is popular, but I won't use the MACD again. What else is another one that's kind of popular? CCI. Let me see the CCI on this. Let me see what this looks like. Is CCI popular? Probably. Nah, it's not that popular. Let me take that off. How you take this off? Wait, how you take the damn thing off? Oh, right here, the X. All right. Let me see what else they got on here. Let me try the awesome oscillator. All right, so this look kind of like how the MACD looks a little bit. So let me use that. So look, this type of stuff that people will do when they're trading, they're trying to use an indicator to tell them when to enter. Notice the key word of what I said, when to enter. You don't need timing for when to enter a trade. If you actually think about what we're doing with binaries, these are binaries. All you got to do is be right about where the market ends when the time runs out. That's it. Nobody cares if you write about the direction or not. It doesn't matter. You can be wrong about the direction and be right about the position that the market ends in and win the trade. You understand? These are bind, like people get into to pips. Oh, micro pips. You know, I want to get into trades that move a lot of micro pips. Why? That's not how you win these trades. You win these trades by just being correct about if it's above or below. That's it. That's all you got to do. See, this is another thing too about NADEX and about these binaries. There is nothing better than this as far as trading goes. Like for real. Binary options on NADEX is the best thing that you can trade, period. It's the simplest thing to trade, and you can capitalize on each trade and you can scale. Meaning that you can just continuously grow the size of your contracts and increase the amount of your profits, and the trade remains the same. Meaning that if you win the trade, you get the money. Win the trade, get the money. Win the trade, you see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how you won the trade. It doesn't matter if you won by 1 micro pip or if you won by 10. Just win the trade. You win the trade, you get the money. That's it. There's no better way to trade aside from that. It's just not, because it's a simple decision that you have to make. So anyway, I put this little indicator on here. I want to see what this looks like to kind of see what people be doing with these indicators. So I think this is the awesome oscillator, I believe. Yeah, awesome oscillator. So look, let me see. Let me get my little lines. So let me start drawing some lines. Right? They'll look at this, right? Oh, look, screen. Getting a buy signal. It's green here. So I should be buying. Now, the way that you use this, when the market is moving up, you'll see the oscillator moving up. Now, the oscillator is broken down into 2 colors, the green and the red. Green means that the market is moving up. The red means that the market is moving down, right? So there's also in the indicator bars. So you see how these bars have length. So look, let me show you something real quick that some people will look at. They'll look at this right here, and this is divergence. Where's my line at? You see this? You see how this, you have a high point here, and then this is a lower high point. It's a high point, but it's lower than this one. Now, if you line this up with the market itself, the market didn't move like that. Look, let me show you. And divergence is actually something I used to look at because it actually is a very powerful tool as far as an indicator. But you see how the market has a higher high, but the indicator has a lower high. You see, that's divergence. They don't match. If this was in alignment and in sync from the perspective of the indicator, you would have the higher high on the indicator at the same time that you have the higher high in the market. And it's so fun. I'm just doing this just for purposes of the example that I'm using as far as people using indicators, right? So what that means is when you see the divergence, because this was a lower high and the market actually up here was a higher high, you know that the move coming down is going to be more significant. There's going to be a move that comes down that's going to be a larger move because there's a divergence between the indicator and the actual market. That's the concept of divergence. When they're not in alignment, it means that there's going to be some type of breakout in the actual market. And here you kind of did see that. You saw a larger move coming down, right? So now they'll look at this. They'll, oh yeah, I like to trade divergence. So they're looking at divergence now, and they're trying to find a trade. Again, they're looking for a trade. They're in trade mode, right? So they're using the oscillator now to try to time the entry into the trade. You see what I'm saying? Forgetting that everything here is the binary. Look at this. For example, your oscillator here is telling you that you should buy. Now, the only buy position that you could have taken was for this strike price. So, like if you were looking from here, right, on this candle, this is where the oscillator started to turn up. So you would be buying from here somewhere. Well, this is a binary. There's only one thing to buy. It's this line right here, the green line. 2171. That's the only thing you can trade. So if you trade this, you're basing it off of the indicator being turned up and also off of the fact that because you have green here, that's the buy signal. So you're like, all right, indicator's turned up and it's green. Buy. But it's a binary. You see? So now you're trying to time your entry into the binary. So what you'll do is you'll zoom in and you're looking, you're like, all right, we got 4 minutes left here, 3 minutes left here. All right, man, the market's under the line now. Market's under the line, but look at your oscillator though, it's still green. In your mind, you're like, it should go back up. Now, it did actually go back up here. It happened. It just so happened that it went back up, right? So you're now trying to time your entry here. You want to get in here because it's lining up with your oscillator. That's a buy signal, right? So now you want to take this trade and you're taking the trade solely based on the fact that your indicator's turned up. And it could have been any indicator. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one, but I'm just showing you how people will use the indicator to try to time the entry into a trade. You see what I'm saying? So they're like, man, yeah, this should shoot up. oscillators turned up. It should shoot right up. Now, it came down first. So if you were looking at this, for example, and you bought here, you were actually in the red here and probably scared to death. But you got happy when you saw that this was still green. So you're like, oh, it should go back up. So you see how it could play out a number of different ways. You could have jumped in here with your confidence being in the oscillator that is green still. But you got to remember that the oscillator is an indicator. So it's lagging behind the actual market. Matter of fact, when we were looking at this originally on this candle, this was red. The oscillator here was red first. It turned green when the market came back up. So it turned green after the fact. There's a delay. It's lagging. See, this is why you don't need to use indicators. And people, they'll use indicators to try to actually take trades off the indicators. This is just as bad as the signal service. Because when you sign up for signal service, what do you think they're using? They got alerts set. What they'll have is like this indicator here. They'll probably have an alert built in. And what the alert does is it goes off, when the oscillator turns or when it crosses the zero line. Like here, for example, let me get another line. It's so crazy. So you see where this green line is now? This represents the zero line. So some people, the way they'll use this indicator is they're looking at, well, I want it to be green and I want it to be above the line too. That's a stronger buy signal. That's how this indicator is supposed to be used. So they'll take this and they'll say, all right, cool. It's above here. It's above the zero line. But if you look close, that same candle that's above the zero line, if you look up here, the candle's red. Look at the market. So the market is red here, but the oscillator is green. So what the person that's using this indicator is doing, they're putting their confidence in the oscillator because they're trusting that the oscillator is taking the average of the price activity and is determining that there's still a buy signal here. Like it just crossed above the zero line though. That should be a buy. So now they have more confidence because they see that the oscillator is going up. You see what I'm saying? They're trying to time the market again. So look at what happens. So for example, here you got the only strike price that's relevant is this one. So now you got to figure out how to use this oscillator to get into this trade for a buy. But look at what just happened just now. Did y'all see that just now? I want you to see something. The market just did this. Look, it just did this. Hold on. Did you just see that? As I'm talking, the market came down back under this line just now. It just did it just now. If you would have bought, you would have lost this trade. Mind you, look at your indicators. And I love doing this because every time I do this, the market just be helping me to prove my example and to prove the point. Look at this. Your oscillator going up. Your signal was a buy. This was a buy. You might have bought over here. Let me see. What time was this? 2:37? You could have bought right here on this candle. Could have bought on this candle. Say you bought on this one. With this one, you had less than a minute left on the clock. We're gonna say you bought on this one. Look, you bought on this one, you felt good. Last minute comes, oh yeah, man, market's up there. Look at my oscillator. Oscillator's turned up. Oh, this is gonna be a winner. Look at what the market decided to do. Look. What happens to your indicator now? Come on, man. This is what people be doing. Listen, I'm telling y'all, people trade like this. It looks good. It's all pretty. Look at this oscillator. This oscillator looks pretty. It's nice. Look at this. Look green and red. It's all clean looking, right? Oh, I love the awesome oscillator. It's awesome. It ain't awesome when you take this hit right here under the minute mark and the market comes back and touch your strike price. Ain't nothing awesome about that. Now, because you're not including behavior, you don't understand why I did this. Why did the market come down and cross that line and take your money? Mind you, how did it look before that? It looked beautiful. Look at this. Look at this. Ooh, look at that, man. I'm going to win this trade. Market comes down and it does the majority of the move in the last 5 seconds. When you watch the replay of this, go back and you'll see what I'm talking about. That market came down in 5 seconds. So look at what happens when you don't understand behavior. This movement right here is behavior. Has nothing to do with the trend is your friend. Has nothing to do with the indicator, what gave me a buy signal. Has nothing to do with that. It's the market itself. Market decided to have this behavior manifest during that last minute. But mind you, if you understand the market's behavior to begin with, you have already known that. You would have known not to take no trade. Period. Not just because it's a buy trade. You wouldn't have taken any trade. Our tools work. Look at this. Look at this. Look at these candles touching the line. What's the first thing I said a moment ago about how we look at the market? There's no barrier. No barrier, no trade. Like, man, let me clear this chart. Shit looking all crazy now. Look at this chart. Look, the divergence over here. Your oscillator here giving you buy signals that make you lose a trade. This is NADEX. These are binaries. You need to understand market behavior. Ain't got nothing to do with these indicators. And look at the list of indicators in here. Because this is the stuff that you like to trade, that you like to use from Forex. So they give it to you. Like, y'all like all these indicators. Here you go. You're like Bollinger Bands? Yeah, throw your Bollinger Bands on there. Yeah, do your thing. There's your Bollinger Bands. Throw it all on there. Look at your Bollinger Bands. They're giving you access to what it is that you're used to. A lot of Forex traders use these things, not really knowing any better. So again, like I'm using this as an example of what not to do. You don't need these indicators. Look at what just happened. Look at what I just showed you. I showed you this beautiful setup. This was an awesome looking setup, actually. If you look at this looks good. Yes, it does. Look at this. Nice candle here. Nice candle here. Oscillators turned up. Right? Minute before the last one. Market is above the line. That's a buy. But what happens when you don't understand behavior? Look at that arrow going down. Look at this candle. Look at this big ass red candle. That's what happens. All right, let me clear this chart, man. So I'm hoping that this will be valuable for folks and just be helpful, man, because it's so many ways for you to lose. The main way to lose is to be on here looking for ways to trade. That's the easiest way for you to lose. You're looking for trades to get into. You're looking for setups. Oh, well, I don't like that indicator. So you throw another indicator on there to try to filter out what one indicator didn't help you with in the first place. I'm trying to tell you, man. Crazy. Mm-mm-mm. Tracy, what's happening? Tracy's on here. You doing up? Jamal, mindset is where your mind set. We Professor X in this thing. Facts. Yeah, pivot points. Crazy. Sadiq said, look good till it's no good. Exactly. Mike, that's a real question? Or you being sarcastic? You really asking about crypto? Somebody said that type of oscillator is not appropriate. None of them are appropriate. If you're looking at a 1 minute chart, that's what you should just look at, the 1 minute chart of the market. You don't need any indicators whatsoever. If you don't understand behavior, you won't be consistent anyway. Because you're not going to understand why the market did what it did at the time. Because you don't understand behavior. So behavior is something that you have to learn how to understand. And that's just it. Matt C, ripple to the moon, huh? Yep, good luck, man. Good luck. A lot of the cryptos moving higher. You're right about that. Where's Bitcoin at right now? Let me see what Bitcoin is doing. Where is Bitcoin? Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Bitcoin back at 50,000, huh? That was a nice sharp decline today. I think today it went up to 59,000, if I'm not mistaken. And right now it's back at 50. Let me see this chart. Yep, it's at 50. Yeah, it had a drop earlier down to 47,000. It went down to 48.65 a little while ago. That was a big drop though. Damn. It was at 47,000 back on, what day was this? February 16th. So there's a support level there. Got another support level of 45,000. That was on February 15th. Yeah, I'm just taking a look real quick at the Bitcoin levels. People love talking about Bitcoin and the cryptos now. Of course. A lot of hype surrounding it. My opinion is that if you're buying cryptos, you should definitely figure out a long-term approach to it versus trying to capitalize off the short-term movements. Figure out a long-term approach. With these cryptos, something else that is interesting is that there's a lot of different things to consider. One, there's no precedence for what they are capable of doing because you haven't had anything like them before this to compare them to. You know, like what was before Bitcoin? That was what Bitcoin is. Nothing. It's the first of its kind. So figuring out like where it's going is kind of crazy because you have an idea of where it can go, but you don't know when. It's just like like the way that I look at Bitcoin is like this. There was a time when Bitcoin was a penny. There was a time where it was 5 cents, 50 cents. By the time I found out about Bitcoin, Bitcoin was like in the hundreds, $600-700 per Bitcoin. By the time I found out about it, when you look at where Bitcoin was before that, 50 cent, dollar. There was a time when it was $1. And it's crazy when you think about that. It's like, damn, if this was $1 and like it was available for somebody to buy it, yeah. Of course, it wasn't as readily available as it is now, but the point still being the same. So when you look at something like what Bitcoin represents, and you understand the real value of it, the real value of it is the blockchain technology, because that's what it's built on. It's what allows Bitcoin to be what it is, as far as it being something that you can send from one point to another encrypted. Like there's nothing in between that can interfere with it. You can't hack it. You cannot hack Bitcoin. People have tried to. You cannot hack it. You cannot hack into that technology. So that's what makes it so valuable. The fact that it's capable of performing the function that it was built to do. Like it's really an incredible thing. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, damn, value of that could be anything. Yeah. But what people are doing is they're speculating on price. So like right now, just as an example, people are looking at Bitcoin. They're like, oh, should I jump in now? See, just the idea of you jumping in, you're not even looking at it like you should, because it shouldn't be something that you look at as a short-term way to make some money. Bitcoin has an inherent value. It's something that is a limited supply. And if you have it, it's valuable, period. The price is just reflecting the demand that people have at a given point in time. Like right now, just happens to be a time where there's high demand for it. It's becoming more popular, right? It's been around much longer than people thought it would be. Like it's still here. So all these things are playing a part in it. And I understand that. But it should not be something that you look at like, oh, should I jump into it? Can I double my money? It's like, nah. You need to just understand what it is and just accumulate and hold the position in it, because nobody knows where it can go. You just don't know where it can go. Bitcoin can go to $1 million. When it was 50 cent, I know people didn't imagine that it would be where it is right now. They probably were like, this is something I don't even know is going to be here anymore. But hey, I'm willing to take, I'm gonna take a chance because I like this blockchain thing. For me, that's all it took for me. When I understood what the blockchain was, that's when I started accumulating Bitcoin. I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. I was like, yeah, this makes sense to me. The future of technology and not being able to hack into all that stuff. I was like, yeah. I don't know what what's going on and none of that. I don't know where it's going. I don't care. I just want to make sure I have some of this. And that's what I did. But anyway, let me come back over to the comments. Mike said, I'm talking about the time. I can tell a great investment tip if you want to hear it. It's from my brother, Brooklyn Mancy. What's that? Oh, you mean Brooklyn Moses? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that a typo? Mike, you can share. You can share. Yeah, I mean, well, stuff like, see, even if governments try to implement stuff like that, like having their own coin, their coin has to be based on an existing coin. It can't. It's not gonna be just its own entity. This is another thing that Ethereum has value with. Ethereum is valuable for that purpose because it can be used in Swift bank transactions. You know, the banking system has a system called Swift for international transactions, and Ethereum can be used with that. That's what makes Ethereum valuable. Banks could adopt Ethereum to use to replace, well, not replace, but to improve their Swift system because they're able to do things in much less time. That's really what is that like it's about being able to save time. Like if I send you money to your wallet, it goes through instantly. There's no delay. Once it gets all the confirmations and it goes through on the blockchain, it goes right to your wallet and you have it. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter where you at in the world either. It doesn't matter where you physically are in the world. That's the technology. That's the technology behind crypto. That's what makes crypto valuable. Period. So you got to understand that that's what's giving these cryptos value is what they're able to be used for in the future. Now, it remains to be seen what they'll be used for. But you see what the opportunities are. It's a lot of them. It's a lot of opportunities out there for them to be used for various things. And yes, that's true about the manipulation of their currency. Absolutely. Government needs to be able to have a printing press for money. So they don't really have a need to have crypto. They don't want something that's going to actually give stability to their currency. Like they want to be able to print in unlimited quantities. Period. If they have the ability to do that, then they don't have to pay for anything because they can just print the money to pay for whatever they need to. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. Yep. Oh, that's your tip. Oh, Mike got jokes. He told me to invest in blinds because I got too much sun in the room. Okay. Yeah, man. But this whole crypto thing it's so much hype around it. So much hype around it. People are just gonna lose their money pretty much because they're gonna be trying to trade cryptos. That's all they're gonna do. Try to trade them. So you can actually see right now the market is moving around quite a bit. Quite a bit. Yep. So you see Like even this, you have some people also that like to trade during volatility. Yep. And they'll look at these markets moving around like this. Again, the market having volatility in it, you still need to be able to know how to interpret behavior, because if you don't understand how it's moving, it ain't gonna make a difference if it's moving a lot, if it's moving a little. But these binaries, there's only one way you're gonna win a binary. And that's just by being correct about where the position of the market is at the end of the clock. That's it. And that's why this is the best thing that you can trade. Best thing. Best thing. Jermaine, what's Python? It sounds like something technological. Market moving around a whole lot now. Oh, okay. Coding language. Got you. Full stack software development. Interesting. Yeah, make sure you get a video with thumbs up, whatever platform you on. Right now, streaming from YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Google offers free coding certificates. What's that? Sadiq said used to write code. Excuse me. When I was in my 20s, I seemed like I remember taking one programming course. That's when I learned about what binary is, like actual binary ones and zeros. Yeah, I remember that from that course I took. I was mad. I was mad young. Ones and O's, binaries. What do I remember from that? Subnet masks, right? Yeah, stuff like that. Subnet mask. IP. I want to say IP. It seemed like I remember that too. Yeah, it was such a long time ago. I don't really remember that much. I do. The only thing that sticks out is binary. That's it. On and off. Ones and zeros. Uh, Market completely off the grid. Look at it. Yo, I be looking at this. I'm like, yo, who's trading this? Like, who is trying to trade this? Like, what indicator you gonna use for this? Like, what are you using? Let me see. Let me put a stochastic on here. Better yet, RSI. Let's see. Let's take a look at the RSI. Relative Strength Index. Oh boy, look at that. RSI at the bottom, baby. It's at the bottom turning up, and the market's going up. Market is going up, man. Yeah, let me put a stochastic on there. Get a stochastic going. Look at that stochastic. Look at that. Look at that white line crossing over. This going up, man. This going up. Let's see. Let's see what we gonna trade. What can we trade here? People be bugging out. See if we could trade here. Oh, this is something right here. Look at this. Look at this one. You can trade that right there. We got a minute left. Oh no, what's that? Damn, why it's coming back under? I want to buy, man. Stochastic is pointed up. It should go back up. It should go back up. If it go back up, we're gonna buy that. If it goes back up, we're gonna buy that, man. That stochastic is pointed up. It's supposed to go up. RSI coming off the 20 level should go up, man. No, my bad. RSI coming off the 30, coming off that lower band. Damn, why it's not going up? Another one. Another one bites the dust. Man, listen. All right, let me stop. Let me stop messing with these stupid indicators. All right, so did a little observation. How long we been on here for? About an hour. Oh wow, hour and 20 minutes. All right, man. That'll do me. I'm out. I'm out. Sleep just hit me real quick. Time to wrap it on up. All right, y'all, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to the observation. I'll see y'all on the podcast tomorrow, man. You know what it is. Mark Fuller, TeamAlliance, man. I'm out. Deuces.
Dom the Monko, Dom the Monko.